Hello and welcome to week 2 of Mr. Christensen Online Teaching. Is anybody actually watching these things? No one made comments, so I don't know if these things are even being watched. Today we're going to go into solving equations. That will take us a long way through the end of the year. We're going to focus on equations and then on inequalities, and that will pretty much wrap the year up for us. We're going to start off with single-step equations. This week. Next week we'll get into two-step equations. Now I'm going to start this real easily. In fact, let me write the title here so that I make sure I'm doing my part here. So single step equations. Okay. Now I will tell you right now that this is an incredibly easy lesson to do. This is all about showing work. If you just send me a worksheet that has answers only, I'm not giving you credit, okay? Because most of you will be able to do most of these problems with mental math. That's not the challenge. The challenge here is to understand how to show the work properly. So when we are doing this, to solve equations, we must isolate the variable. So our job is to get that variable all by itself. Okay. We talked a little bit about this while we are still in school, so some of this will be review for you. We're going through, we are making 0, getting rid of any constants that are on the wrong side, and then we are making 1. We are getting rid of any coefficients, turning any coefficients into a positive 1. So we will start with adding and subtraction equations. We're going to do all 4 today. So adding, subtracting, and then we'll talk about multiplying and dividing also. So when you have a variable and it has a constant with it, equations have an equal sign, and then they have to have something on the other side. Again, the answer is 4. I don't care. Right now, your job is to be able to show me the work so that when you get more complicated problems, you know how to show the work for those. Because you're not always going to be able to do mental math, no matter how brilliant you think you are. So when we're doing this, we need the constant of 3 to disappear. We need it to go away. We need it to equal 0. So what we do is we add the inverse of the constant. And I'm going off the page there of the constant. There we go. So when we do that, this is a positive 3. If you put it together with a negative 3, as you just did recently with our integer work, we know that opposites cancel each other out. But the rule that we have to be careful of is whatever you do to one side, you have to do the exact same thing on the other side. These make 0. And now all that's left on this side is the x. The equal sign is always on this line. It never moves. Positive 7 and negative 3 gives us a positive 4. That is how we show our work. That is what you're going to do for every one of these problems. Okay, you're going to show me the steps. You're going to show me the adding of the integer on both sides. So a couple other problems. We'll do one with subtraction here. If I give you y minus 3 equals negative 4. Again, you may already know the answer. You may already know that the answer is negative 1. That doesn't matter to me as much. You need to be able to show me the work. So we draw our line, I need to get rid of this -3. Remember, we still look at these terms as separate pieces. This is a positive y. This is a -3. So to get rid of a -3, we're going to add the inverse, which is a +3. A +3. So I'm going to here, right, add inverse right there. These zero out, leaving me just my y. A -4 and a +3, they're different. We subtract, there's more negatives, so I get a -1. Okay. For adding and subtracting, that's all you're doing. Okay. Later on, it'll become a little bit more complicated when we add some multiplication, distribution, combining like terms. It's going to slowly or relatively quickly build on itself over the next few weeks. Okay, so that was addition and subtraction. Now let's do our multiplication and division equations. Now these are problems that have coefficients. Okay, we are always going to do whatever, really the opposite again, inverse is opposite of what they're telling us to do. So if I have 3x equals 12, again, answer's 4, big deal. Okay, so in this problem, 3 is the coefficient. Okay, that's important to understand. The coefficient is what we need to equal 1. So using multiplication or division, because this is a multiplication problem, that's why you have to choose, what can you either multiply by or divide by to turn a 3 into 1? Well, 3 divided by 3. We are dividing by the coefficient. Divide by 3. Notice here, 3 divided by 3 equals 1. That's why we did it. Okay, up here we made 0. Down here we're making 1. Leaving me 1x, so I can make the 1 invisible. 12 divided by 3 gives me my 4. And there's our final answer that I already said. So if we have a coefficient, and it doesn't matter if it is a positive or a negative, you always divide by the exact coefficient. Here is the coefficient of -2, so I'm going to divide by -2. The reason we always do the exact is so that the signs are the same, because a negative divided by a negative is positive. And we need our coefficient down here to be a +1. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So it's a +1x, so we can make that +1 invisible. But I have to do the same thing on this side. Oh, by chance, this also has the same sign, so I'm going to get a positive answer. 6 divided by 2 leaves me just 3. Right? And most of you probably knew that the answer was going to be 3 at the very beginning, but again, this lesson this week, next week, is going to be about showing the work more than anything else. Okay? So if they give you